All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the High Impact Man podcast. This is Nevin Gorky. I'm known as DFib. To all the guys out there in F3 land, I'm joined as always by Troy Klinger. He's known as Dial Up. And we have a special guest today because it's not too often we wander outside the United States for a guest, but we have a guest recommended to us by 88. 88's out there in Gold Rush territory out in California. He was a prior guest on the High Impact Man podcast quite a while ago now. But anyway, he got a hold of me. He said, I know a bunch of guys over there in the UK and South Africa that you should interview that are high impact men. And so he sent me a list. And I got on for the first time ever. I got on, what the heck's that thing called that we communicated on?
Yeah, WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. Yeah.
That's why you asked me if I used WhatsApp.
That's right.
Welcome to the brave new world.
Dial-Up is not on WhatsApp. Okay, so I'm taking the technological lead here now by being on WhatsApp. So when I asked Dial-Up if he ever used WhatsApp, he said, "Well, I don't need a what'd you say? You don't need a concubine from another country or something like that."
Yeah.
I don't either, but anyway, this way I think he recommended 4 different guys to me, and Sticks, our man Sticks, Steve Parsley is his real name. And he's the one guy that said he can make time tonight because they're 5 hours ahead of us. So it's 10 p.m., a little after 10 p.m. for Sticks. So we're going to get rolling here. Dial Up. The football season's ended, so there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, college basketball's hitting a good time of year. College wrestling's hitting a good time of year.
Yeah, that's true. Go Nittany Lions. Yeah.
See if Nittany Lions can win yet another national title.
Another national title.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Sticks, welcome to the podcast.
Cool. Thanks for having me. Look forward to this.
It is our pleasure, brother. And you're coming a lot. This is pretty amazing technology because I'm talking to him like he's right next to me, yet he's across the ocean. That's pretty neat. I guess I shouldn't be too surprised because, from us to California is about the same distance or even less than from us to England.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
No, about the same, right? Somewhere in there. We had guests on from the West Coast that come through like this. So really cool stuff. And it is a blessing to be able to do it because then we could bring you guys from all over the place. And maybe we'll even get more people listen to the High Impact Man podcast over in Europe and England, especially. So
F3 is worldwide.
It is worldwide. So anyway, before we go any further, y'all know we got to play the game of guess how our F3 guest got his name. So Dial Up, if you want, I can go first. It's up to you. All right. I got a quick question for you, Sticks, because
go ahead.
I think there's only 2 ways you could get the name Sticks. One is you're tall and thin, or you're a drummer. So my first question is, don't give me the answer of which one of those things is the reason you got your name, but do you have a favorite drummer?
I've got a favorite drummer, but I do have a favorite drummer. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to try to give too much information, but yeah, I do have a favorite.
Well, if you have a favorite drummer, you're probably a drummer because no one else would have a favorite drummer. So I'm going to go with the fact that Sticks is a drummer. That's that's where I'm going. Was that what you were going to do?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I never even, that thought never dawned on me, but I went to, you've seen F3 names go like this. My mind went Parsley, right?
Okay.
To like, a little, I guess what would it be like, kind of side dressing on for your food, right? Like that kind of parsley, right? Which then got me to like carrots and celery as a little side dressing for a meal, and that led me to like carrot sticks or celery sticks.
Oh, he is redheaded, so maybe his carrot has something to do with this. All right, Sticks, set us straight. How'd you get your name?
Man, you guys are really inventive. Unfortunately, it's not as inventive as that. I am quite tall, but I'm not tall and thin. Well, I'm thinner now that I'm part of F3. I play a lot of field hockey.
Oh.
Where you use a hockey stick. I play golf, and a nickname for golf clubs is golf sticks. I don't know if you use that in the US. Yeah. And I also play cricket. In cricket, the wickets they wear, if you ever seen cricket, those are called your sticks. So it's kind of like a 3-part deal there. And then so a lot of names got shouted out, as you know, when you get your F3 name. There was like shin pads and all kinds of things, and then someone said sticks, and it just stuck. And so Sticks it is.
All right, Stick stuck. Gotcha, brother.
Cricket and field hockey. Field hockey is pretty unique. I know that like in the United States, you just don't see field hockey played a lot by guys, but like internationally,
No,
it's a big thing,
yeah, the
right?
girls play it, but no. So my question, Sticks, is first of all, who is your favorite drummer?
It's Travis from Blink 182.
All right, there you go, folks. Blink 182, Travis. Most people don't have a favorite drummer unless they're a drummer. I would think, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
I couldn't
That's
tell. I
fair.
don't have a favorite drummer. I
Peter
guess my
Pandolfo.
favorite drummer would be the girl from oh shoot, what's the Christian rock band? Dial up. They sing Hero and Monster and Skillet.
Skillet.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry,
Skillet. Yeah.
I'm not a Skillet fan, so I wasn't even going there.
Well,
You could
I
say
saw them at.
You could say Peter Pandolfo, Todd Eckert, Anthony Puccio are drummers at the church.
Oh, yeah, I like those guys, but I'm not going to pick one of them. So out of those guys,
Yeah, there we
no,
go.
I'll pick the
That's fair.
girl from Skillet just because she's a girl. All right, yeah. And the second thing is Sticks. My other question is, over here, the only thing we see field hockey are girls, and they wear skirts. Are you wearing a skirt when you play field hockey,
Well, not particularly. I've been playing field
or is it
hockey
a kilt?
since. Nah, not a kilt either. I've been playing field hockey since I was about 14. Typically in America, yes, it is a women's sport, but there's a whole other world on the other side of the Atlantic where hockey is quite big, all the way down to Australia. In fact, I played a lot of club hockey as well. So after school, played a lot of club hockey, and we used to do after the game. We used to have fines meetings, we do a couple drinks and everything like that. And if you were voted as the DOD, so the dance of the day, the next hockey game we would play, you would actually play in a pink tutu. So sometimes, yes, men did play
Yeah,
did play
I
that.
knew it. I
So
knew it,
you
Interesting.
always
Sticks.
your goal was always to try to avoid getting the pink tutu, but yeah,
Don't worry.
obviously. But
The
generally
dunce of the day.
we play in shorts, so shorts
All right.
and t-shirts, very
All
similar to
right.
football kit, so soccer kit.
Gotcha.
I'll try to translate from
Yeah.
from
Keep it American,
British
Sticks. We don't need this.
English to American.
Football.
Well, listen, Dial Up and I both coached what we call soccer for many years. And we were both very successful as youth soccer coaches over here in America. So we do know something about soccer. Cricket, however, I'm still trying to figure out that game. I haven't looked at the rules, but I watch it and I'm trying to understand what they're doing. But because the ball could even go backwards, which is kind of cool, I guess. But anyway, that's not what I want to ask you. I want to ask you right now to tell us your F3 origin story. How did you get involved with F3? Who got you into it? What we call EH, who EH'd you into F3, and how long you been doing it?
Yes, I joined F3 on the 10th of May, 2023. 2023, yeah. I actually picked up an injury playing hockey, believe it or not. I always used to joke that a hamstring injury is something you get when you're 40 years old. And probably two months before I turned 40, I blew my hamstring. Yeah, see, yeah. And I joked with the youngsters saying, yeah, wait till you hit 40 and your hamstring goes, and then you can be part of a club. And I was also training for a marathon, so I blew my hamstring playing hockey. I was training for a marathon, and was down and out, and went to the physio, and they were like, yeah, cool, we can work on that. You need to recover, rest. And they're like, you really need to start doing strength work. And going to the gym and doing strength work on my own is like the ultimate worst thing I could ever think of. And a friend of mine saw a post on Facebook from Safari, Duncan Minklin, who started F3 here in the UK, and was like, yeah, come join a bunch of dudes early in the morning. I've always been quite an early morning person, so that wasn't too bad. And yeah, showed up in the gloom on the 10th of May, and yeah, the rest is history. So started off there at the Way, which was the first AO to open in the UK. Since then, we've opened quite a few more. We're up to about 14 AOs across the country now. And yeah, just moving forward from there. So yeah, never look back. I actually posted on the 10th of May, which was a Tuesday. And as I was driving out of the AO, it's like in a big park, I saw a friend of mine running up the road. It's someone I do a bit of running with, and as I drove past him, I was like, stopped and opened the window. I said, I'm going to phone you as soon as I get home about this F3 thing. And that's Laser started on the Thursday after me, and he's also still involved. Like he started. So yeah, from the moment I started, it was EHE like the very
awesome.
next day. So
very cool.
That's really cool. So now a couple questions. So you're about 42 now, is that right?
Yeah, 42.
All right. You're in Surrey, England, right?
Yeah, Surrey, England.
Tell us, is that where is that on England? Is it south, west, east? Where is Surrey?
So I'll talk in the language that most people understand about England. So I'm down south near London. Everybody knows where London is. So the UK it's very weird. I'm in the southeast region of the United Kingdom, which is west of London. So if you imagine all the way down at the bottom, London's at the bottom. Surrey's sort of just underneath that to the west of London.
Okay, gotcha, man.
Yeah.
What was the first workout like? Do you remember what you did in the first workout?
I do. I remember quite clearly because I'm very lucky that the Q that's still involved, Homer, who is at cadre now on the GT program, and my battle buddy was Atta, who actually is still involved as well. He was at a beatdown on Wednesday. I showed up and we were told to take bricks. So they brought a whole pile of bricks, so not your cinder block, but 2 bricks. And we went running out, and we were stopping for doing Merkins, and I didn't quite understand what a Merkin was. Obviously, I was given a demo, but I was like, what's going on? We ran to a bunch of like outdoor gym equipment, and we were doing pull-ups and burpees and all kinds of stuff. And then we ran sort of moseyed back to the AO with these bricks and doing all this stuff in little baby arm circles. And I thought, this is the craziest cult that I've ever joined or ever been part of. Got back, was absolutely finished, as everybody is. Luckily enough, didn't splash Merlot, but it was very close. And then kind of to them to get me onto band, so we used band to communicate, and got in my car and drove off, and kind of got down the road to the traffic lights and kind of stopped and took a breath, and I was like, what kind of, like, I was like, what's just happened? This is really awesome, but like, it was very weird at the same time. And then thought about it a bit, and I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I need. So yeah.
That's awesome, brother. Yeah, that's great. We did one time, we had a guy, he doesn't come anymore, but he posted for a while, and he was an amateur boxer. And Dial-Up and I were at a beatdown that he queued.
Yeah.
He has doing the same thing. We had to carry bricks, and we had to run with them around a track, but we had to throw punches with the bricks while we ran.
Okay.
And then I think we did a total of 4 laps, but every other lap you had to go run backwards for a quarter mile throwing punches with the bricks. And after, it doesn't take
notes.
long.
Taking notes for my next cue.
Absolutely. It doesn't take long for those bricks to become heavy, does it?
Yeah. No, they get heavy very quickly.
I remember one time we give a brick to guys when they hit their 100th post, and I'm only about 1.5 miles or 2 miles from our most common AO. And I had one of those bricks to give to somebody, and I just had the great idea. It was back. I occasionally I'll just run over to the beatdown, do the workout, and then run back home since I'm that close. So I thought, oh well, I'll just run over with the brick. I got halfway there, and my arm felt like it was gonna fall off just from running with. I wasn't even punching or anything. I was like, this is a horrible idea to run over here with this brick. But, anyway, I never did that again.
The only way to slow you down a little bit.
Yeah.
Dial-Up's a really good runner, and he's old now. He's going to be 52 soon, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. I'll be 52 here soon. Yeah.
Yeah. And,
respect.
Yeah. Well, he's a very good runner and a very gifted endurance athlete. But he can run with a 30-pound ruck, and he runs about an 8-minute mile with that, don't you?
I have, yes.
Yeah.
Not super
for
far.
a couple miles. Yeah, he's crazy, man. Yeah.
But I have had those hamstring injuries that you've alluded to.
Yeah. Only after you turn 40, probably as well, right? Yeah.
Everything gets more fibrotic as you get older, man. Everything gets stiffer.
I haven't had one for a while. So hopefully it stays that way.
Well, almost everything gets stiffer. Anyway. Well, all right. Well, I'm going to ask you a little bit more about the F3 stuff, but first let's ask what life was like for you growing up. Now, I got your bio. So I know you started off in, I think, Johannesburg or somewhere down there first.
So I grew up in South Africa, Johannesburg. I was born in Durban, which is a coastal town, and my parents moved up to Johannesburg, which is sort of a landlocked city, sort of the business district of South Africa. So I grew up there. Went to school, played a lot of sports. It's a very outdoor country, so we South Africa's got the weather for it. So, summer's cricket season, winter is hockey season or rugby season. Swimming is a big part of our lives. Probably we probably learned to swim before we learned to walk properly in South Africa, because most of us have got pools, so you have to learn to swim, otherwise you don't really get to play outside. Outdoors has just really been a big part of my life. Finished school, finished college, lived in Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, for a while, stuck on a short 6-month work visa. Came back from that, then spent 4 years going back and forth to the US, working at summer camps, so upstate New York in the Catskills. And then came back to South Africa, stayed there for a while, and then immigrated to the United Kingdom in 2017 with my family. So it went from a really warm outdoor climate to the UK, which is really cold, and everything. I've tried to carry on living the outdoor life. So F3 fits straight into that, because it's always outdoors. So it was never really a problem for me, that, but it is, the weather does take some getting used to. So I've kind of bounced around all over the world. So we kind of settled in the UK for now.
When you were in upstate New York, you weren't at like Saranac Lake or anything like that, were you?
No, I was at a YMCA. So I was at Frost Valley YMCA, which is, I think the closest town to us was Kingston. One side was Kingston, the other side was Phoenicia, which was our closest sort of towns. So I remember that name. What did you say? What lake was it?
It's like Saranac Lake or Saranaca Lake or something like that.
Yeah.
Our local Young Life group goes up there every year for a youth camp.
Yeah.
So when you mentioned it, that's just one place that I know, and I was just wondering if it was the same place.
I think, the name rings a bell. We had our own lake on our camp, so most of our stuff was done there. Yeah.
How did you end up in camp? How'd you end up doing that? How'd you go from South Africa and Ireland over to New York, upstate New York?
This is quite interesting. It's an interesting story, because the US doesn't have enough people to staff summer camps in the summer, right? Because it's a big concentration of staff that's needed to do it. So our camp that I worked at, during the summer, we had about 400 staff, but year round was probably about 50 or 60 staff, because you got the influx of children coming in for the summer. So there's these recruitment programs and recruitment companies that go to countries all over the world, and there's a specific visa that allows you to work in the US for 4 months. It's a J1 type visa. So they go and recruit people, and they sell it as an experience to come experience the great summer camps in the US. South Africa, it was come have a double summer, right? Because our summer's in January, February, March. Then you would come over to the US and have another summer. So it was like, well, I can have a job working outdoors, I can go experience the US, and I can have a double summer. So it's quite a no-brainer. But it's actually a big industry, the summer camp recruitment from other countries. And my camp recruited about 100 internationals for the summer season, to make sure that we had enough staff, but also gave that cultural experience to a lot of the US people and kids.
Yeah. So what did you think about America when you lived here for those 4 months?
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. So I did 4 summers, but I did 2 summers for 4 months, and I did an 18-month visa. So my 3rd summer I came out and then stayed over the winter. So I stayed from June all the way to November the following year. So I went through a Catskills winter, which was it was quite an experience. My favorite story is I went home for Christmas when I was there for the 18-month visa, and then I left on Christmas Day. I flew back to the States. It was 35 degrees Celsius when I left South Africa, and I arrived at Catskills to minus 15 degrees Fahrenheit. So it was like almost 60 degrees odd change. It was a life-changing experience.
Well, hopefully you had the gear you were prepared for it. You had at least a winter coat.
Yeah. I bought some stuff.
Yeah, good. So when you were in South Africa, is that where you started doing triathlons? I saw in your bio you were doing some triathlons.
Yes, sport's always been a big part of my life. But as you get older and leave school and people don't encourage you as much to play, I still played sport, but obviously was living that young 20s lifestyle and got stuck in. I used to, like I said, I used to play club hockey, and we always used to joke. We used to say we're a drinking team with a hockey problem, because that's kind of what you do in your 20s, right?
Yeah.
Put on a lot of weight and was living life to the full. Let me say that. And it's quite an interesting story because I went bungee jumping, and before you go bungee jumping, they weigh you, and then they write your weight on your hand. And I'll still remember it because they wrote my weight on my hand on with a marker pen. And when I got to the rope, they're like, "Oh, geez, we need 2 ropes for you because of my weight." And I was like, 15 kilograms, which is, I can't even work out what that is in pounds. I never remember, but it's quite heavy. And then I was just like, yeah, man, I need to do something about this weight loss. Then a couple months went past, and I was walking around our local shopping center, our local mall in South Africa, and a friend of mine bumped into me. He's like, "You need to lose weight." Like, he said to me, straight. There's a very good friend of mine. He said, "You need to lose weight. I think you should enter one of these triathlons that I'm doing in a couple months." So I went from being quite overweight to training for this small triathlon. They call it a sprint triathlon, a splash and dash, which is like a short swim, like a 20-kilometer bike ride, and a 5K run. So I trained through the winter and that, got into that, and I did that first little short triathlon, and my buddy was like, "Well, you've done that, now you should enter half Ironman." So I entered half Ironman, and the day I entered that, he's like, "Well, if you're going to train for half Ironman, you might as well just do a full Ironman."
We'll do the whole one, yeah.
Yeah, so I went from 118 kilograms sort of at the start of 2011.
So wait, I looked it up. 116 kilograms is 256 pounds.
Cool. So 256 pounds to training up to an Ironman in April 2012. To 86 kilograms, I think, is what I lost. So I lost about 30 odd kilograms in about a year, and did my first Ironman. And just from there, it's just been like a lot of endurance sports. Triathlon's great. It takes up a lot of time, and since having kids, it's a little bit of time. So I've switched to running. So I do a lot of running. So dial up, we can talk all day. I've done many a marathon and many an ultra marathon and lots of big trail runs and stuff like that. So my fear is ending up being overweight again. So I try very hard to keep it off.
Did I catch that you said 7 kids?
No. I haven't. No, I've got 2 kids. No, 2
kids. Okay. My ears heard 7 there at one point. I was like, "Wow, that's a lot of kids." And to stay as busy and active as you are, that's a
sure. No, definitely not. No.
Yeah. Okay.
Our household is a democracy, and if you've got more than 2 kids and there's only 2 parents, you start losing out on the vote. So we stopped at 2.
Oh, can I give you some advice in regard to that?
Yeah.
When you're the dad, there is no democracy, because you let the inmates run the asylum. Then, man, I told my kids, this isn't a democracy. And then when we had votes, we would have a family vote. I said, well, we can have a vote, but your mom and I get to veto any votes. It didn't work out for me. It did not work out well for me, though, because when the family got together to vote on whether to get a dog or not, and I did not want to get a dog because I knew how much work it would entail. My wife was like, she seemed like she was in agreement with me. So I got the kids together, and I have 2 kids. So the 4 of us got to vote. Both kids, of course, voted yes.
Yeah, obviously.
I voted no.
Yeah.
My wife abstained.
Surely,
she chose not to vote. She abstained. So
surely the parental vote's worth at least 4, right?
I know, but I didn't pull rank then. I just figured I'm beaten now because even my wife is not behind me. So
it was a fake vote. It was a false election.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
I know. It was fake
rigged.
news. It was rigged. It was a rigged election.
So long story short.
Those rigged election things started a long time ago.
Yeah. Long story short, how's your dog? Not your children's dog. How's your dog doing?
It turns out the dog, I said, if we ever got a dog, I'd like to get a Bernese Mountain Dog because I thought they looked really cool.
Yeah,
So we
okay.
got a Bernese Mountain Dog puppy. And of course, the kids said, oh, we'll feed it, we'll clean up the poop,
Yeah.
all that stuff. And they didn't do any of that. And for whatever reason, the dog ended up just taking to me. I guess I was the, the alpha male kind of. It was a girl dog, Katie. And I ended up, loving Katie. And we had to put her, she lived like 13 and a half years, which is more than twice as long as a Bernese usually lives.
Yeah, that's a respectable
Yeah.
lifespan for a dog.
Take that for what it's worth, because take this for what it's worth. But we only took her to the vet for her original shots. We never took her to the vet after that. She didn't have any other, appointments or anything. She just went outside.
You're an anti-vaxxer.
I'm an anti-dog vaxxer. No, she got her vaccines, her, whatever ones you're supposed to get. But anyway, yeah, she lived a long time. So I was sad when we had to put Katie down.
Yeah,
but I was really happy that, I was sad we had to put Katie down, but I was relieved that we no longer had a dog, because now we didn't have to worry about what do we do with the dog when we go on vacation. I didn't have to worry about all the poop in the yard. I didn't have to worry about her occasionally throwing up in the house or whatever happened, right? That kind of stuff. And she was a shedder. Bernices are shedders, man. I had tumbleweeds blowing across my house. So.
And it's a big dog, man.
You enjoyed that time for how many years before you got dog number 2?
Oh, quite a few, actually. It was
that long?
Probably about 5-6 years, something like that. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, Anyway, it's not about dogs and me. It's about you, brother. Just a little advice. There's no democracy. You got
there's no democracy.
Take control, brother.
we like to live and dream, thinking we have a vote in our own houses. But yeah, we know the truth.
Absolutely. So, what do you do for a living? I know you got into scouting for a while, but like, what do you do for a living?
Yeah, I mean, I was involved in scouting as a youth, and then I was scout leader for a while. That's all volunteer. I'm a business development head of business development for Virgin Group. You might know the Virgin brand a little bit in the US. It's a lot bigger, obviously, and in the UK. But we are a brand that owns a whole range of different brands and products. So we've got an airline, and we've got a bank, and we've got gyms, and we've got, you name it, actually. We've got a media company, we've got records, we've got music, we've got radio stations, all kinds of things. So I work for the master brand, and then work dealing with all the different brands that we own under that stable. So all sounds terribly exciting. I can see you all jumping for joy. It's a very typically corporate job. It's a really fun brand to work for, though. So it's really good. We try to have a lot of fun with it. So yeah.
And that's Bronson. Wait, Richard, is it Richard Bronson?
No. Yeah, that's it. Sir Richard Branson is our founder.
Okay.
And he's still involved to a degree, but obviously we're a fully functioning business with a board and executive team and all of that. So.
When I first long time ago, when I first saw Virgin, I think it was the airplane I saw first. I thought Madonna started it. I really did. I thought, oh, this is probably Madonna's got an airline now or something, but no, that was not true.
Yeah, I can picture that thought. And in the US, we've got a couple brands. Obviously, the airline flies out there. We have Virgin Galactic, which is a spaceship company, so you can fly into space. It's one of the things there. A couple other brands. We've got some smaller brands. We've got a cruise line called Virgin Voyages, which sails out of Miami. A couple of hotels, Virgin hotels. So it's a bit of a brand presence in the US, but not as big as it is here in the UK.
So you said Sir Richard Branson. So how do you get to become a sir? Like, what do you got to do, Sticks, to get knighted? How does it happen?
Well, you have to end up on the King's honors list. To do getting on the King's honors list, you have to do a whole range of different things. It's generally charity work or philanthropy, or do the proud nation of Britain proud. So if you win a gold in the Olympics and then live an outstanding life, or any achievement that puts Britain in a good light, you end up on the monarchy's honors list, and then you get knighted as a sir. So I think Richard Branson's done a lot of charity work over the years. He's done a lot of philanthropy, so that's how he ended up on the honors roll.
Yeah. All right, so you got to be rich or get a gold medal. Although
pretty much. Yeah,
our favorite football team in England, Dial-Up and I, is Manchester United. They stink now, but But Alex Ferguson, when he was their coach or manager or whatever you call it, he was Sir Alex Ferguson. So is that just because he was successful as a soccer coach?
He was incredibly successful. If you think about what he did for football or soccer globally, right? He put Manchester United on the map, right? He made it a truly global icon. So because of all these efforts to sports and culture and all of that, that would have earned him his knightship.
All right. I read his book on leadership after he retired. He actually lectured at Harvard and ended up writing the book, I think, part of that. But anyway, it was, yeah. I think, when you look at the book at the back, they put all his trophies that he's won and championships and stuff.
Yeah,
he might be the most in regard to that. He might be the most successful sports coach ever. I mean, he won a lot.
I can't think of another sports coach that's equal to the amount of trophies he won.
Yeah, that was a lot. They need
and he's 10 and he's tenure as well, right? I mean, he coached forever, just like forever, right? Like he just was just always there, and to be successful for as long as he was. I challenge someone to find a better example of a successful coach in any sporting code.
Yeah,
for that length of time. It's pretty it's Manchester United, but I mean that's okay.
Yeah. Well, he needs to come back because they haven't had any success since he left.
No. Sharing the wealth.
Okay. So you said you run ultras. How far? What's the furthest ultra you ran?
First ultra I've done is 55 miles. And it's a race back in South Africa. So I go back every year and do it. It's the world's oldest ultra marathon. It's been running for over 100 years. So it starts in 1921. It's called the Comrades Marathon. It's a big. If dial-up knows, you'll know about it.
I haven't done it. I know of it. Yes.
Yeah. So that's the longest event I've done.
Have you done it more than once? Have you done it both directions?
I have done it both directions. If you know about the Comrades Marathon, and if you don't, it's a big legacy thing in South Africa. When you'll do, so it's between two towns, Pietermaritzburg and Durban. And 1 year you run the up run. So you run from Durban, which is a coastal town, up through the routes to the top. That's called an up run. Then the next year they'll do a down run version of that, where you start in Pietermaritzburg and you run back down to Durban. So it's an up and down run. Comrades counting is a little bit different to normal counting, because if you've done one, you've done half. If you've done two, you've done one. Then if you've done two, you might as well carry on to 5. And if you've done 3, you're halfway to 10. Because
okay.
Because if you've done 10 Comrades marathons, you get a green number, which is you become a permanent member of the Comrades Association. So that's the pursuit I'm on. I've done 8. I've done them with my brother as well. So we're both on 8. So we're looking to do 9 this year, 10 next year, get our permanent numbers. And then and then I'm going to quit running probably after that, because that's what we all say. Yeah.
Sweet. Why don't you just run up and down? Turn around and go right back down. 110 miles.
Yeah, I wish I could, but then it doesn't count. It doesn't count towards your number counts.
Yeah. All right. Gotcha.
And it counts to
yeah, not worth it then.
People that miss the bus to get back to their car where they started, they have to run both directions.
Yeah, they have to run both directions. People are pretty nuts. There's a whole bunch of people who are like run from Johannesburg to Durban to start Comrades Marathon. So that's like 1,000 kilometers. So they run 100 kilometers a day and then do the 80 odd kilometer Comrades Marathon. And some people cycle there from other places. So yeah, if 55 miles isn't enough for you, there's a whole bunch of more you can add to it. And it's quite phenomenal because there's 24,000 people entered for the 2025.
Wow.
I read a book years ago by Steve Noakes or something like
Noakes,
that.
Yeah.
He had ran it numerous times and has done a lot of research on hydration and nutrition during long distance events like that. Really, really good book, and that's where I first learned
it. Yeah. He's quite an infamous person in South Africa. He's wrote one of the first nutritional guides for runners or endurance athletes, and it was all about the carbo loading and all of that. Like he was one of the first. He was like a dietitian nutritionalist by trade. He's Dr. Noakes. Yeah.
All right. So were you posted F3? How many days a week do you go?
It varies. So I try at the moment, because I'm training for comrades. I'm trying to balance it with running and BD. So I go 3 times a week, and then I complement that with 3 runs a week. So I'll go Mondays to a BD. Tuesdays I'll do heel repeats at the moment for comrades training. Wednesday will be a BD. Thursday we've actually got at one of our AOs in my area, we do a running BD on a Thursday. Mm-hmm. So it's a group of us, sort of running focused BD. So we'll do intervals or heel repeats or go for recovery runs and all of that. Then Friday I'll go for a BD, and then Saturday is generally my long day, and then leaving Sunday as a day off just to rest up. So it's 6 days a week I'm training at the moment. Yeah.
So how often do you queue some workouts? I mean, you're supposed to, right? Are you queuing?
Yep. I've queued twice this week. In fact, I queued Wednesday at the landing, which is basically my home AO, and then I queued at the circuit this morning as well. So I didn't do the running BD. I did running at the BD at the circuit. I set up a mega suicide, which is quite good. The stage it was quite good. It was like sort of didn't know how well it would work, but basically I set up every stage was 200 meters. So there was a baseline. 200 meters was the first stage, then 400 meters, 600 meters, and 800 meters. And we basically did but one big repeat. But I threw a Cindy in as well. So we ran from the baseline to 4 with your Cindy, then did a recovery run back, and then we ran back to 4 and carried the Cindy from 4 to 3, dropped the Cindy off, ran back to base, and then rinse repeat all the way to the end. So we ended up doing about 6.5 kilometers of running, carrying the Cindy for half of it. Nice. It's quite a good setup. It's nice and easy, right? Like the back blast was like 3 lines.
6.5 kilometers, isn't that like 4 miles?
Yeah, it's probably about 4 miles.
Yeah, that's a long way to go in a beatdown.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Dial Up, any other questions about the F3 stuff?
I think I'm good on that.
I have a question. I'm sorry, I totally forgot. I need to ask about the GT that you attended, the GTE. Tell us about the GTE.
So we did the first UK GT42 in 2023. That was a success. It was really good. It was a tough night, man. Like I wasn't fully prepared for what we were going to do. I'm pretty fit. So I've done a lot of endurance running, done a lot of trail running. I trained up on the rucking, and I was like, oh yeah, man, if I can run, I can ruck. It's not a big deal. But wasn't fully expecting the damage that they put on us. You know, like have you done GTs, either of you?
I did one, yeah.
Yeah, like the welcome party where they just like hammer you and they shout at you and get your kit ready. I was just like, wasn't mentally prepared for that, man. Like I can tell you in that first half an hour where they're like telling you to pull your kits out and put it back, I was just like, I don't need to be treated like this. I'm an adult. And and then
you guys went under the log over there, I assume too, right?
Yeah, went under the log, and that's where it's like, oh man, this is just pain. So yeah, wasn't fully prepared for all of that, but it was an experience. And then I was invited to go on LC48, so joined Linus, who's the GT director, and we had a cadre training academy at in Wilmington. So they were doing a.
We were there. That's the GTE you did.
Yeah, I was LC48, so I was one of the dudes in the white t-shirts training to be a cadre.
Oh, heck, yeah. We saw you there then. I don't think
I recorded interviews during that GTE for this podcast, and I interviewed a few of you guys in the white t-shirts, and I know 2 guys were from the UK, but I guess I didn't get you.
Yeah, I think maybe I can tell you what, by the time we were on Sunday when it finished, the GT, we'd been going since basically since Wednesday, because we flew into Wilmington Thursday, and then started LC48 at like 5 o'clock in the morning on Friday, and then sort of went to sleep on Sunday. That's that's the next time we slept.
Yeah,
So
so
we did.
actually think I interviewed you during the GTE.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah,
remember because
nice to see you again, Sticks.
you yeah. Hey, I'm lost whole time. I've known you.
Right.
I think you interviewed me during the fitness test on the field.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. Those guys run around
I
doing the
remember
fitness
that now.
test. Yeah.
I'll have to go back and
Yeah,
listen to that now.
Yeah.
yeah,
He probably does. He doesn't. He was so tired they don't know what they said.
Well, I'm trying
yeah,
to connect like you. So we rotated like during the welcome party. We rotated through the different stations, and so
yeah.
now that I'm thinking of it, like I think I do remember you obviously being at one of those stations. I just can't remember which one it was. Whether you were where we were just passing our plates over our head like it was an ammunition
Yeah,
depot,
look,
or whether we were running in place and just hitting the ground over and over and over again.
you put a lot of GT into the back of your mind. Yeah, you try not to remember some of that stuff. I remember from that GT, it was GT 44 from if my
Yeah,
memory serves.
that's right.
Being on the beach at like 4 o'clock in the morning, just being the coldest I've ever been.
It was, yeah.
All the packs were quite busy. You guys were busy doing stuff. We were kind of just standing around, and I looked over to Homer, who came over from the UK, and I said to him, "Man, I've got to keep moving." So we started running intervals on the beach just to keep warm. Yeah, it was just crazy. It was cold, tired, overworked, and then yeah, finished up. So
And
yeah,
wet.
DFib.
And wet. It rained on you guys.
And wet. Yeah, man. It rained all at the wrong times. And we were doing the fitness test on the Friday, and it was actually quite hot on the beach. It's probably about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and you're running up and down and doing burden carries and stuff. And then overnight on the Sunday, when you wanted that warmish weather, it was like just chucking down with rain. It was, yeah, it was an experience. I got to see Wilmington, but didn't really see much of Wilmington, to be quite honest.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
Dial-Up went through it. I didn't. I was there. I told him I'd walk along with him and stuff and do the podcast. But after about a few hours on the, I think you guys were like 5 hours in the welcome party or 4 hours. Like I don't think you took off under the log until almost midnight. I said, yeah, I'm out of here. I went and got some dinner and went to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, nice to see you again, brother.
Yeah.
That was quite a beat, an ordeal you guys went through that training. I mean, I remember seeing videos you guys, like you said, on Friday doing all that fitness testing on the beach. That was rough.
That was brutal. Yeah. Most of it was, I mean, pretty okay. There's that burden carry where we carried the sandbag for 2 miles, however far I mean, it might have been 100 miles, to be quite honest.
On the beach, right?
On the beach, carrying this stuffed feed bag full of beach sand. It was very uncomfortable. That's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. That just carrying that bag, it was horrendous. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on getting through it. That's pretty cool. So, all that stuff kind of reminds you of like a little bit of like, military stuff, special forces training. And I got to ask you, there's this show on Prime. Do you guys get Prime? Do you get that?
Yeah, we got Amazon Prime. Yeah.
Okay, so that I saw the first season on Prime. It's on another streaming network right now that I'd have to pay for, so I didn't watch the second season. It's called Rogue Warriors, and there was actually a documentary about it first that I watched, but then I watched the fictional account, which was based on a true story. But it's the origin story of the British. Is it the SAS, Special Air Service?
SAS. Yeah.
Yeah, incredible story how that started in North Africa. And but you haven't watched it yet, huh?
I haven't watched it. No, I haven't watched it. So.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. So anybody out there listening, Rogue Warriors on Prime, at least you could watch the first season. Second season, I think you got to get Paramount or something like that. I can't remember, but that was really interesting.
Yeah,
there were a bunch of crazy characters back then.
Yeah, those SAS are a special breed.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know that you're involved in your company in like leadership stuff and different things like that. So how has F3 helped you? F3 is supposed to be a leadership, that's our mission, to invigorate male community leadership, a leadership development type program. So how has F3 helped you become a better leader?
This is something I think about all the time. I mean, I think almost on a daily basis what impact F3 has had with my leadership style. And I could probably narrow it down to many things, but narrow it down to many things. bit of a paradox, paradox in terms. I think the biggest one that made an impact to me is staying calm when things are going wrong. So as you go through F3, you'll be going down to the beat downs, and you can't do Merkins, and then eventually you can. And then bear crawls are the worst thing in the world until you enjoy them. So you learn to get through those tough parts, because eventually it does get easier. Then you become a Q, and you learn to lead people of all sorts of different fitnesses and that. And you can translate that into work quite easily, because you may not be the CEO or the MD of a company, but you still can be a leader. And actually dealing with all the different kinds of different people that you do, you learn that quite quickly at F3, and how to deal with different people, deal with adversity, deal with problems, not making big issues out of problems, is rather trying to figure out how to solve them. So I think from that, I've become a lot more compiled at work, a lot more consistent, and a lot more just thinking about problems and solving them, rather than thinking about the problem and not having any answers. Yeah, I mean, I think it's changed quite a lot. So, I mean, waking up in the morning and getting rid of all that sort of negative energy in the morning. So when you go into work, you haven't got sort of that aggressive or argumentative or anything like that, because you've gotten rid of all of that. You've taken it out on the dirt, as opposed to taking it out on colleagues or anything like that. So, yeah, a little bit more considered than the previously. I could carry on all day.
Taking it out on the dirt. I like that. That could be another T-shirt.
Yeah. Another.
Yeah. Take it out on the dirt. Like we always say at the end of the beat down, or always, often we say, like, let that beat down be the hardest part of your day, so that when you face problems at work, I mean, you'd be like, I just bear crawled 500 yards. This board meeting I'm going to, like, it's not a problem. So.
Awesome, man. That's exactly right. And that's what we hear from most guys. A lot of guys say they get more confident, but as far as leadership, I mean, that's the goal, right? It's to the preparedness thing, to put yourself through tough stuff, so that when in the real life, when things happen, you could lead with calmness when the hard stuff comes. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
All right.
It's also taught me to delegate more as well, because often you try to take a lot of stuff on, but going through the ranks and becoming an AOQ and opening a couple of AOs. I'm actually the Nantan now. We recently split our regions into smaller regions. So Safari was the Nantan of the Southeast, but we split our region into 3 different regions. So I'm a Nantan now, but I've learned to delegate more. So normally I try to take on a lot of work and try to do it myself, but I've had to trust people at F3 to do things. And I've translated that a lot into my life now as well. So
excellent. All good stuff. All right, Dallas, you got any more questions for him before I ask him our final 2 questions?
No, I was going. You went to the how's F3 impacted him as a leader in the workplace. That's what I was going to ask. So you got me, me covered at this point. Hit him with the big ones.
All right. So we ask these 2 questions of all our guests. So the first one is, if you were to pick somebody that you would say is your inspiration, your hero, who you look up to, that kind of thing, could be somebody that's, from the distant past or who's alive now or whatever, who would you pick?
I got a mate. His name is Robbie. He's actually the one that bumped into me at the shopping center and said, "Man, you fat. You should start doing something about that." He's definitely one of my inspirations. He had quite a nasty accident quite a long time ago, and he damaged both his ankles. He broke both his ankles, and he spent about 6 months in a wheelchair, taught himself how to walk again, and he's summited Mount Everest post that thing. He's also done an Ironman, so he was the one who got me into Ironman with his injuries, and he's on a sort of a quest to do the 7 highest peaks on the 7 continents. He's got like 2 left. So as much as he hates it, he is one of my role models and my inspirations. And I tell him all the time, we always joke he should get a tattoo on his head that says that he's climbed Everest, because like he went up and down Everest and then came back and like just went back into his day job. And it's like a mean feat. So yeah, definitely Robbie's one of my inspirations.
Wow. Shout out to Robbie. That's great, man. Yeah. Outstanding. All right. Last question is, we usually say this is your chance to speak to the men of America, but this is truly your chance to speak to the men of the world, I guess. So what message do you have for all the men out there?
I got 2 messages. One is every man needs F3. So get out there and EH, right? EH every single man you can speak to. And the second message is every single one of us had a battle buddy when we first came down, and that battle buddy may not be at F3 anymore. Reach out to your battle buddy and get them back in, because like I said, every man needs F3.
Every man needs F3, brother.
F3 can save the world.
F3 can save the world. That's what Slaughter said. So let me ask a quick question. I know that I said that was the last one, but you mentioned Battle Buddy twice. Is that what you guys do if an FNG shows up? Do you hook them up with one other guy as their Battle Buddy?
Yeah. So if an FNG comes out, we hook him up with a Battle Buddy just to help them through the paces of your first beatdown, because we all know how manic that can be with different names and funny name. People got odd names and everything like that. We hook them up with like someone who is going to just show them the paces for their first beatdown.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. Very cool. Well, thanks, brother. Appreciate you joining us and giving us your time. I know it's probably about 11 o'clock at night there for you, so we'll let you get off the bed and get up early to go to F3 again. Or is Wednesday your running day? Which is it?
Yeah, well, Friday's tomorrow.
Friday,
so we got. I'm going to. We recently opened an AO called the Weir, so they've been in operation since Jan. So I'm going to go out to the Weir. It's about a 20-minute drive from my house to go beat down with the fine gentleman at the Weir tomorrow morning. All
right. Well, go enjoy that, brother.
Yeah.
Shredder is the cue. If you ever want to talk about comrades, please do come out with me. I'll be gladly host you. It's one of my other EHs. I've got 4 other F3 men running it with me this year. So
wow.
Always welcome. And if you like Manchester and you like running marathons, there is in the Manchester Marathon, and you actually run around Old Trafford. So if you're a Manchester United fan and you want to run a marathon, come do the Manchester Marathon.
DFib, that's got to speak to your heart, brother.
It does, but I can't run a marathon anymore. I can't run like that. I got back issues. Okay. I could watch you. Hey, by the way, Sticks, we haven't finalized this, but I think my wife and I are going to take a cruise in July that leaves from Southampton, hits some spots in Spain and Portugal, and then ends back in Southampton. And then we have a couple of days to spend in England, and I haven't figured out what we're going to do yet. So maybe I'll look you up, brother.
Yeah, please do. Southampton by train is about 40 minutes from where I live. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, hook me up. You can come stay at our place. We can make some space for you. I was
thinking about renting a car, but I got to drive on the wrong side of the road. So I don't know.
Well, interesting you say. I always say we drive on the correct side of the road, and you drive on the right side. So
fair. That's fair.
All right. Yeah, fair. All right, brother. Well, God bless you. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks.
No worries, gents.
Great meeting you.
Cool. Have a good day. Cheers,
yep,
brother.
You too, bye.